Alright, this is Andrew Jolly with Joda Home Inspections. We're here today on February 1st, 2020, doing a sewer scope at 8737 Spartan in Sandy. We've got the camera pushed all the way out to what looks like the main line, the city connection, and we're going to pull it back and record it and see what we find. So we're 105 feet out, and I'm accessing it through the vent on the roof. I also found an access point in the basement, but it is buried behind a wall and a cabinet. And so in the laundry room, there's a sink that's not connected, and if you look through that cabinet, it's in the wall. And so if you ever had to get to it, you could move some stuff around and create an access down there. It's best to keep access open to them so you can get to it if you need to in the future. So this house has, or this sewer line rather, has a liner. It's possible that this house had cast iron originally, or it could have been clay. But over time you can get issues, and especially with cast iron, you'll get rust and sediment that builds up on the pipe, and it can catch on things, and then that can cause a backup. Also, it gets very thin. It'll start to flake over time, and it gets very thin and can even collapse in on itself. And so that's another reason why you might add a liner. Liners are blown into the pipe and then they're hardened, and it's like having a new sewer line put in. You can see on the side of the pipe how there's writing. Actually says liner right there on the left part of the screen. But that's a good thing when you have a liner. One thing I'm looking at is if you have any standing water, which here you don't. With liners you have essentially no transition points. It's all one piece. They blow it in and it rolls out in a sleeve, and so that's nice because it's a little harder for roots to come in. When you have clay, you'll have junctions every 3 feet or 4 feet, and then you can get a lot of roots that come in. So especially in a yard like this where you have some established trees, it's another benefit of having a liner. So I'm not seeing any standing water, which is good. That's an indication that you have proper grade. I did find this here where you have quite a bit of buildup, and this is right where your liner kind of starts, and a little bit of a lip right there. You can see how my camera head hits that. A little bit of a lip, not horrible, just a tiny bit of standing water. The lip doesn't really concern me, but that buildup does. I can't tell if that's a root, and then it has a bunch of gunk that's caught on, they're built up on the root. But that's something you could consider having cleaned out now as a precaution. If that is a root, it's just going to get bigger over time, and even the way that it is now, you're blocking half the line. You just have this small hole in the bottom right. If you just leave it, there's a good chance that something can get caught on it and it'll get blocked, and then you can have a backup. There's a couple ways to have it cleaned. You can either have it snaked, and that's where they cable it and it kind of eats away at it, or you can have it hydrojetted. I like hydrojetting because it blasts out everything, and then usually the drain company will also include a scope like this and show you that they actually got all of it. Downside is that hydrojetting costs a lot more. It's about $450 or so compared to only a couple hundred to get it cabled. So this is all cast iron. Looks like you still have cast iron under your house. Being from the 70s, just like how you have a liner in your yard, a lot of houses have already had issues where they've had to address it. But I've seen houses with cast iron from the 20s that are still functioning, and so it's hard to really judge it just based on its age. This one doesn't look too bad. It didn't look like it was too rough or anything like that. We're coming up the stack now, back up to the roof. So just to recap, you have a a liner through the yard, which is good. Cast iron under the house, and so that's something that'll eventually need to be addressed. But right now, it was performing well. Biggest thing I found was that you have a lot of buildup where it transitions to the liner, and so that's something that could cause a backup, and something that I'd recommend having cleaned as a precaution. So I'm going to end this recording now.